You ever stare at a price chart and just get this feeling that you're missing the real story? Like the market's speaking this secret language and you just don't have the decoder ring. Well, today we are going to change that. We're going to dive into a method that helps you read what the big players are actually doing, not just what they want you to see. So let's just start with a pretty stark reality check. This quote right here, it gets to the absolute heart of the problem, 90%. That's a tough number to swallow, but it highlights the main challenge every single trader faces. This isn't always a level playing field. The so-called smart money, we're talking large institutions, professional operators, they have a massive advantage. And that, of course, leads to the billion-dollar question, doesn't it? If these big players are leaving footprints all over the market, how can you learn to spot them? How do you figure out what they're planning so you can trade with them instead of, getting steamrolled by their moves? That is exactly what we're going to break down today. This brings us to what I like to call the trader's dilemma. It's a situation that honestly trips up so many people who are just trying to make sense of the markets with the usual tools. Think about it like this. If all the small fish learn to swim in the exact same patterns, where do you think the sharks are going to go hunting, right? Smart money knows precisely where everyone's stop-loss orders are probably clustered. They see these common chart patterns forming, and they use that knowledge to their advantage, creating these moves that trap the majority. And that, right there, is the fundamental flaw in relying only on those traditional methods. But what if? What if you could look beyond those surface-level patterns? What if you had a special lens that let you decode the market's true language? This is where we shift our whole focus from just reacting to the market to actually understanding it. The solution is a method called volume spread analysis, or VSA for short. Now, don't let the name scare you off. At its core, it's really simple. It's about understanding the cause behind price moves. And that cause is always this epic tug of war between supply and demand, a battle that's almost always driven by the actions of professional money. And here is the single most important point you need to get. Smart money can totally paint a misleading picture on the chart. They can create fake spikes, fake drops, anything to trick you. But the one thing they cannot hide is the volume, the amount of raw activity it took to create that move. Volume, my friends, is the market's ultimate truth serum. So VSA really just boils down to looking at two key pieces of information. Over here on the left, you've got your candlestick. The full range of that candle, from its highest point to its lowest, we call that the spread. It tells the story of the price battle during that time. And then on the right, you've got the volume bar. This tells you the significance of that story, how much effort, how much activity was actually behind that price move. Okay, so let's get right to the core principle here. When we put these two things together, the price spread and the volume, we're basically looking for one of two things. Either harmony, where the story makes perfect sense, or discord, where the story feels off, something's not right. And this right here is the fundamental logic of VSA. We're looking for harmony, which is really just confirmation. For example, you see a big wide price bar showing a strong move up, and it happens on really high volume. That makes sense, right? A ton of effort produced a big result. That tells us the move is probably genuine. It's confirmed by professional activity. But this is where the real magic happens for a VSA trader. It's when you spot the discord, the anomaly. Imagine seeing a tiny narrow price bar, meaning the price literally went nowhere. But then you look down and the volume bar underneath it is massive. Whoa. That's a huge red flag. It means a ton of effort was just exerted, but the price was held in place. It's a huge clue that the pros are doing something big behind the scenes, and you need to pay very, very close attention. Okay, this all sounds great in theory, but what does it actually look like on a real chart? Let's take a look and see how you can read these signs out in the wild. All right, check out this chart. Over at point A, on the left, some bad news hits the market. You see that huge price drop on that giant red volume spike? That's panic selling, pure and simple. Now, follow the price along. It recovers a bit, and then it comes back down to test that exact same low point, right there at D. But look at the volume bar at D. It's tiny. This is a classic VSA anomaly. So what is that anomaly telling us? Well, it's screaming that the selling pressure is gone. It's exhausted. The first time the market hit that low at A, there was a flood of sellers. But the second time, at D, there's nobody left to sell. The attempt to push prices lower just fizzled out because there was no supply. This is an incredibly powerful sign of strength, and it suggests that the smart money is quietly absorbing what little selling is left, getting ready for a move up.
Once you start seeing these relationships on a chart, you can't unsee them. It's like you've just been handed a completely new lens to view any market out there.
So let's boil this whole thing down to 3 simple takeaways. Number 1, price tells you what happened. Number 2, volume tells you how important it was. And number 3, the most critical one, when the price and the volume disagree, when you see that discord, that is your signal to stop and pay attention. The real power in this approach is that it moves you away from just guessing and into a state of real analysis. You're not just looking at squiggly lines anymore. You're actually reading the story of effort versus result, of supply versus demand, a story of the real intentions of the market's biggest players. So I'll leave you with this one question. Armed with this brand new lens of harmony and discord, the next time you pull up a chart, don't just look at the price. Look at the volume. What story will you see?